And alongside that, can I start focusing this yet? Not until 83. Oh, it's next year. March next year. 4 months. 5 months. Cool. So yeah, we want to try and get La Mancha up to 10. If we can. The other thing to take note of is the more of your income, which is gold, the higher the proportion of gold income, the faster your inflation will rise. So some countries like Inca and some of the Aztec miners can have real problems with inflation because of their reliance on gold income. And Spain and Austria, being the other two major powers with gold mines, and now also Bohemia, yeah, that can become problematic if you don't have, say, economic ideas which can counterbalance that rise in inflation. So be aware. The other thing is if you build a manufactory and get the goods produced, that can make you even more gold. Gold is affected by goods produced, but I don't think it's affected by efficiency. So production efficiency I don't think does anything. One way to confirm that would be to check the buildings and the workshops. So La Mancha, we can't even build a workshop there. But building a manufactory would do it. Wintering amongst the natives. In the province of Tumbras, our conquistador encountered natives who proved so friendly and welcoming he lost sight of some time spent among them. His expedition was forced to spend the winter with their native friends and allies, but built up good relations doing so. So Chimu really likes us. Cool. It would be cool if that became like a historical friends thing. Actually, I guess it's just one winter. So Chimu really likes us. Does that go down? Yeah, but only one a year, so in 100 years' time that will have disappeared. Okay. Now, can my explorer explorify anything? No, nothing available yet. Oh, you can't select it if you're already on a mission. I think I need to send you to a port and then test. Should have waited until the end of the month. That was silly. Explore. Nope, you still can't do anything. So just continue protecting trade and Seville. That's fine. I wasn't sure if this counted as another port for further exploration, but apparently not. We need to wait until it's actually built and cored. Then the final point here is you can turn this into a trade company straight away. This basically says this is now designated as a trade company from the start. Doesn't have any impact on the construction of the colony. It just means that once the colony becomes a city, it's part of the trade company as opposed to a state. Not going to go into those details right now, though, because that is a fair bit more advanced and not really relevant. And I don't think it's even available for American colonies, because they can't be trade companies. They become colonial nations instead. Which, again, don't worry, is something we'll talk about when that's relevant. Arguin's having an uprising. So, here is where we have screwed up a little bit. We have a colony in Arguin. We should really have sent some troops to go and fortify it. We didn't. So we're going to grab 3 infantry. We're going to send you to Huelva. We're then going to recruit another 3 infantry to replace those. Now, what's this going to mean? Well, basically, these 5 units, once they've sieged out the colony, will kill a group of the colonists which are present here. Considering there are only 47 settlers in Arguin right now, that's probably going to result in that colony being destroyed. If we had a garrison there, then the garrison would have fought them. And we definitely don't have time to bring them in. Boom. So the natives have killed the colonists and destroyed Arguin. So now, this would basically be an opportunity for one of the other nations to sweep in and grab it. So we're immediately going to dispatch another colonist just to make sure we keep a hold of it, for our cunning plan to work. Now, because this was such a new colony, doesn't really have that much of a bearing, but imagine that colony had like 500 or 600 settlers already, and you lost it. Oh, no, don't cancel. That would really suck. That would really, really suck. Oh, we had the Battle of Meta. We've established the meta, and it's not whatever they were doing. hate metas. I really do. Immoral prices. Before we do that, let's go ahead and spend some more points on development. No, not Toledo. Wrong place. Drat. I meant La Mancha. Oh well. Grain prices are notoriously unstable. Anything from the weather where it is grown to incidents hurting its distribution can suddenly cause the price to rise significantly. As a result of one such sudden change, there is currently an acute shortage of grain in many of our larger cities. Desperate to feed themselves, the common people are directing their anger at the merchants, who they feel are making good use of the situation to overcharge for their wares. That's just good business. So force the merchants to lower their prices, which would lower their loyalty and their influence. Not meddle in these things would be a big uprising in Leon, Cadiz and Granada, and the Burghers gain influence and loyalty. Or we must pay and distribute what bread there is. Which the Burghers also end up liking. So let's take a look. Leon is not adjacent to a fort. Cadiz is. And Granada is. So as long as we have these guys stationed in Leon when that uprising happens, doesn't bother us. So we'll go ahead and do that. And again, 3 months. We can be 3 months ahead. There was something else. March. What ended in March? Focus. So we're now going to focus on Diplo to make sure that we can get that more quickly. And then let's not meddle in these things. Boom. And again, as long as you have a fort which you occupy and which is fully funded, adjacent to provinces where rebels are uprising, there's no downside to them conquering that province, except for the devastation caused. Do we have the Splendor? We have the Splendor. Okay, so once the Splendor has appeared, you do get an icon here, and you can choose from one of these bonuses. It is always worth checking these last 4. These are nation locked, so only Venice, Denmark, Portugal, or the Ottomans can unlock these, and they tend to be really powerful. Depending on the different ages, you'll get different bonuses unlocking for different people. So like in the Age of Reformation, it will be the Netherlands, Austria, and 2 others. I'm kind of making up who they are. I don't remember who they are. And that's set on the age-to-age basis. So Portugal, for example, gets Portuguese colonial growth, which gives them a massive plus 50 global settler increase. That's really strong, as we've probably seen. But we don't get any of those upgrades. Instead, you get these general Splendor bonus, age bonuses. So we have the Feudal de Jour Edict. This is an edict. You will need to assign this as an edict, but it does reduce your unrest by -5. Justified wars, aggressive expansion impact -10%, so you can basically conquer stuff more quickly. Transfer subjects. This allows you to force somebody else to give you their vassal for half the cost, and also allows you to get claims on a border. So for example, we got a claim on Sale. We could also, or better yet, a claim on Garb. We could then get a claim on Anfa too. I don't know if that works for C zones. I kind of doubt it. Improved war taxes means that you don't pay any war tax costs, so you can just keep that permanently enabled. Very good if you're at war very often. Cavalry to infantry ratio means you can have more cavalry than infantry. So for example, the Western powers, instead of having 50% of their infantry as cavalry, can now have 70%. For the Muslim powers, that's 80%. For the hordes, that's 100%. Higher developed colonies means every colony that you develop gets those 3 bonus development. That's huge for anyone that's colonizing early on. And then the adaptive combat terrain means that you have a +1 combat bonus if the terrain is the same as your capital. So Toledo is our capital, so in the grasslands, we're fighting any battles in any grasslands, anywhere in the world, we gain +1 combat. But we are definitely going for the high developed colonies as our starter. Okay, so our Splendor resets to 0, and we'll need to tick up again to 800 before we can unlock another one. And usually you can get 1 or 2 of these, possibly 3 per age, depending on how many of the age bonuses you have completed. You can jump claims along sea zones, yes, with power. Interesting. Okay, didn't know that. Spain gets Age of Reformation tercios. Gotcha. Yeah, Spanish tercios were kind of fearsome. Harry Pether, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Also the one with adjacent claims has unlimited jumps. Oh, that I didn't know. Cool. You can tell I don't really play the conquesty game very often. I much prefer the trade and colonization game. Cadiz and Granada is about to fall. We've beaten that, so let's head over here. Cadiz, are you mountains? You're not. So Granada is probably the one we want to hit last. So we'll do that and then have you return to Sevilla where you can start drilling again. And as long as they don't conquer Malaga, we're all good. Meanwhile, you lot continue exploring. Now, one cautionary tale about doing a lot of exploring early on, especially in multiplayer, is initially you are the only one that gets the information, but after about 50 years, your discovered territories will spread to your neighbours. So in 50 years' time, Aragon will see the provinces that I explored 50 years prior to that moment. So it will start with the Caribbean stuff, then it will spread to like the South America stuff, the West Africa stuff, over time. So if you don't want your neighbours and your opponents knowing too much about territory, or if they don't take exploration ideas, then it's a pretty good idea to delay exploring everything that you actually want to explore. In single player it doesn't matter so much, but in multiplayer it really can. So if you're next to an aggressive France, for example, who you've noticed just taken expansion but doesn't have exploration, so can't explore for themselves, limit what you're exploring, and that's going to also limit where France can expand to, or just offset it for when you know you can colonize that stuff. Okay, victory is ours. Malaga will automatically reconquer those. You can get back to drilling. And we can get back to building up La Mancha. Ah, so you can only have 50% of your total development in one area. So we've just hit 7 because these two are 6. We can't go any higher with production until we develop something in one of these two. We have a fair amount of admin, so I think I'm going to stick one in admin and then another in production. So we're going to need to basically invest another 2 points in either admin or military, and then we can get to level 10 in production. So La Mancha is going to be another pretty well-developed province in our nation. But it's already paying off. We're already making 5.3 ducats in gold instead of just the 2 that we were getting before we started this. Ingolstadt will cede stuff to Austria, and Portugal's in the golden era. So the golden eras are something you can do once you've got at least one of... I thought you had to have 3 of these to get the golden era. Is it just 1? Huh. Well, if you get at least 1 of these, then you can start a golden era. Golden eras are really nice, but they are something you can only do once per game. 3 of the objectives. Oh, 3 of these. Ah, okay. So once you've got 3 of these, then you can get a golden era. They last for 50 years, so they are good, and they will increase the morale of armies by 10%, morale of navies 10%, all power costs are reduced by 10%, goods produced is increased by 10%, increases your absolutism and increases your revolutionary zeal. Absolutism and revolutionary zeal only really matter in the last 2 ages, so don't worry about those until that point. But the morale of armies and morale of navies in particular can be a massive boost. So if you know that you're going to get into a particularly difficult or a particularly big war, triggering a golden age before that or during that can be a good idea, can really change things. What does all power cost minus 10 means? It means that everything that requires monarch points is 10% cheaper. So going up technology, 10% discount. Ideas, 10% discount. Boosting development, 10% discount. Anything that requires monarch points is 10% cheaper. Toledo is the new seat of a cardinal, so we are now getting more cardinals. And actually, speaking of cardinals, we have another holy power available. Now, one of the ones which I actually really rate is the Forgive Usury. This reduces your inflation. As you know, inflation is a problem for us. We are fairly reliant on gold. And also reduces your interest per annum, which means that you're paying less interest on your loans. We do have a number of outstanding, relatively significant loans at the moment. We're currently 6 loans in debt, meaning that we owe a total of 1,000 ducats. So forgiving usury would reduce our interest, which means I can pay off those loans more quickly. Also, having the reduction to interest would offset some of the damage that the gold and the loans have done to our economy. So this would be a very good opportunity to forgive usury, and we'll spend the 52 paper points to do that. And now we can see that it's going down. That lasts for 5 years. I think it's 5 years. No, it's 25 years. Okay, that's a bit longer. No, that's just until I can use it again. Hold on. That's probably not true. No, it's true. 25 years. Cool. That's actually even 20 years. I can maths. 20 years. That's even stronger than I realised. Desires of the flesh. While we have successfully managed to keep the truth from the rest of the court, it is only a question of time until it gets out unless we do something. King Juan III recently discovered his wife, Queen Consort Julia, is having an affair. Not only that, but the other guilty culprit is none other than the advisor, Odon de Ojeda. Our prestige guy. We know at least we can keep this quiet. So we lose prestige, and there is a chance that this emerges anyway, doing further damage to us. We can bribe him to leave and not tell anyone. In which case, I don't think that chance that this can be discovered will spread. We can execute Odon. Toledo will become angry because she's a noble's daughter. If she was another royal from, say, France, then France would get pissed. Or we cannot have an adulteress for a queen. Julia must go. In which case, we need to ask the Pope for permission to divorce. I think I'm going to say I don't really care. We'll take the prestige hit. Or we can execute him. You know what, actually, Toledo, because we're Catholic and because we have a really high tolerance of the true faith, our unrest chance is -5. So a +3 has no impact on us. Execute Odon. He's only a level 1. He's no cheaper. We'll just hire someone else. It's fine. We can get a missionary strength guy, and considering we are converting heretics right now, that could be useful. Do it. Alright, so the other thing which I should mention about colonists is there is one further use for them. So there's this button here which is Promote Settlement Growth. This is something you can do in any province which you already own. I don't know if it needs to be cored, but any province you already own, you can do this. And this will effectively give you a % chance every year of increasing the development of that colony in a random category by 1. So the higher your development chance, or rather the cheaper development in that province is, the higher the chance of getting this extra development becomes. So here, where we have a cost of 53, gives us a 20% chance of increasing development in this province, whereas if we go to Toledo, for example, which is rather more expensive, it's only a 5% chance, and I think 5% is the minimum that it can go. So if you have a couple of low development provinces where it's going to be particularly cheap to increase the development, it can be a pretty good idea to do this. It does require your colonists, so you're not going to be able to start any other colonies anywhere else while you're doing it, though any colonies that are already in place will obviously continue to grow. It's mostly for nations which can't reach anywhere but has spare colonists, so you have something to do with those colonists to develop your own nation while waiting. Playing as Portugal, so having a spare colonist until the funds arrive is good use. There you go. My king, England declared war on Tyrconnell, so England's expanding further into Ireland. And we were seriously considering a war against Aragon. We have got the fabrication done. We are going to say that Alicante is clearly part of Castile, and always has been. Now that gives us a legitimate cause for war against them. Ragusa and Florence will both join the war. Oh wait, we need to wait until tomorrow. So we will be fighting against Navarra, Ragusa, Florence and Aragon. None of our allies will join, but I don't think I particularly need them. So we're going to wake you up. And we're going to move you to here. We are also going to wake up the heavy ships. It is time to begin forcibly integrating Aragon. And we'll also rival the Mamelukes because they've rivaled us. I'm actually kind of amazed that Aragon hasn't rivaled us. Alright, let's go conquer. So we're going to move here. We're going to press D to detach. We're going to move to Geneva. Detach. And this is just leaving the absolute minimum troops required. Then we're going to hit Valencia. And I think I'm actually going to split half of you off and move the rest of you back. They've immediately moved to try to blockade us, which is why I lifted the troops there. You're getting awfully close to me, and we still don't have a huge amount of morale. They are going to arrive before the end of the month. I'm going to say I'm going to reinforce. They're still going to attack us, so even though we outnumber them effectively 2-1, I was a bit stupid. I didn't let morale recover earlier. Watch your explorer. Oh, the explorer, right. Yeah. Can you explore anything yet? No. So they are getting a terrain bonus, so clearly they've taken the ability which increases their combat ability in the terrain of their capital, and their capital is Valencia. So they're always going to get a bonus in Valencia. However, whoa! That kind of backfired for them. We stack wiped them. They were unable to retreat, and we killed everything. So with that in mind, we're going to grab the other half, and we're going to send you to Pyrenees, and we're going to start sieging that at the same time. They don't have an army. There is no risk to this. The risk would be if Florence or Ragusa or Navarra shipped in troops. We know that Navarra is really, really small. They're basically irrelevant. So it would just be Florence. They are blockading with a large number of ships. They actually have 4 heavies. Man, Aragon's been building their navy up. Crikey. Alright, so we're going to unmothball the rest of our transports just so we have some extra firepower. We're also going to start converting the next province. And we are still earning money, albeit only just. He's a woman. Who had never discovered that Barrett was a woman had the natives not shouted at the top of the lungs when the expedition entered Barcelos. She had joined us as an assistant to our naturalist, and his ulcered leg had caused him much discomfort. She had carried the supplies and the specimens in his stead. Barrett claims to be our naturalist housekeeper, but their relationship seems deeper than that. Should we allow her to remain with us on the expedition? So, yes. We get Jean Barret, which is morale of armies for 20 years. Or send her back, we gain prestige. No, let her stay. It's fine. Hadn't quite realised just how much naval superiority they would have over us. I mean, they're not daring to sail out here because there they would lose their galley bonus. But in here, they have it, and it's pretty potent. Although they do seem determined to keep splitting their navies, which is probably not the best idea. couriers picked a new golden bull, so everyone in the Catholic faith now gets yearly absolutism, regiment drill loss -25, and then unrest in Catholic provinces. Okay, we drill a lot, so that's going to be good for us, because our highly drilled troops are going to take drill damage more slowly. And unrest reduction, but we already have massive unrest reduction, so that's not as relevant. And both of these forts have exerted a zone of control over Zaragoza and Castile, which means we can't march past them. Cibola! A scout sent ahead returned with news about Cibola, one of the 7 cities of gold. He had met a monk who had heard stories from the natives of Manaus about a city overflowing with riches. Its people decorated their houses with turquoise, used dishes of gold and silver, and had gigantic pearls, emeralds, and other beautiful gems. Find the monk and persuade him to lead us to Cibola. Or, why should we trust such a madman? No, we'll find him. And Manaus is actually a centre of trade too. One of the very, very few in the Americas. Therefore making those provinces even more valuable. Oh, hey, Crypt. Valencia has fallen, so if you move to Castile, you can now go to Zaragoza. You can go to Tarragona. We do need to wait until Piraneos. Thuringia declared war on Austria. Coalition. Frickin' finally. Oof. That's a big coalition too. Oh man. Austria has made a critical error. Thuringia, Saxony, Baden, Strasbourg, Regensburg, Salzburg, Ulm, Switzerland, Würzburg, the Palatinate, Anhalt and Limburg are all in the coalition war against them, plus they're already fighting Memmingen, Berg, Mulhouse, Brabant, Utrecht, Magdeburg and Brandenburg. So if we go to the diplomatic overview for Austria, they're at war with more than half of the HRE. This is really bad for Austria, because the small German states are significantly wealthier than you would imagine they are. And because of that, they have much bigger armies than they otherwise should have. Austria's dead. They're at war with way too much. So basically what's happened here is because Austria failed... well, because Austria lost their personal union over Hungary and then lost the empire and have not been HRE since that happened, they threw a massive tantrum and basically went on a suicidal run to try and get the rest of Germany to just end it. And Germany is quite happy to do it. Ah, no, don't have crashed. I think I just... nope, I didn't crash. It's fine. Just a massive lag spike. You know, I'm going to save this. Good riddance, Austria. Good riddance. Now, one downside to this war is I'm not going to be in a position to go after the islands. So, at least Messina is going to be providing quite a lot of war score, keeping Aragon in the game, basically. Who else am I at war with? Florence, Navarra and Ragusa. We can definitely occupy Navarra. And possibly get them to give us that subject. See if that works. Plus I want to humiliate them. Thomond accepted peace. England fully annexed them. And Tyrconnell as well. England's kind of lucky because Ireland is so far away from the rest of the Catholic world. They don't really care that much when the Irish miners get annexed. Because that's a lot of OPMs. And that would be a lot of aggressive expansion if anyone was actually close to them.